What if the person that you are with, or that you plan on being with or engaged to, what if that isn't your spouse? What if that was just a counterfeit that Satan just planted in your life to hinder you from God's true plan?
Can you imagine being involved in a battlefield that you wasn't called to fight? Engaging in conflict that wasn't never meant for you to be in, and now you're stuck fighting endlessly because you settled down with someone who wasn't truly with you or for you.
Now, we all know that relationships has its ups and downs. And instead of fighting each other, wouldn't it be better for you to actually fight together to overcome something? No relationship should have its wars unless you are both fighting together to achieve something, but not against each other.
Samson loved Delilah. He loved the way she looked. The sex was amazing. He received all the attention he always wanted. But after she used him, that's when the enemy came in and took advantage of him. And that's when he lost his eyes. And also the Holy Spirit that empowered him with supernatural strength.
He could have lived a very long life, but it eventually got cut short like his hair. No, he was called to be a warrior over the nation of Israel, a guardian over God's chosen family. But he lost that privilege.
No man could ever face him in a fight. He could kill you with his bare hands and not even receive a scratch. But all was lost because he got involved with someone that the devil planted in his life.
Satan wants glory. Satan wants your attention. And the more you give him attention, the more you start to lose the vision. And when you lose the vision, you lose the strength that comes with the vision. And then from that moment, you are held captive to do the enemy's will. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11, it says that the plans that God has for you is to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future.
God has plans for you to be successful and not to get yourself hurt in any way, for you to receive the desires of your heart and a blessed and promising future, not just for yourself, but carried on to your children and so forth after.
But how can you have that if you are tied with someone that wasn't for you?
And just because the sex is good doesn't mean that the relationship will be the same.
When I think about the many marriages right now and how, I won't even say a lot of them because I don't know it just by statistics, but just by hearing about the divorces after decades later, it's like so much was being built, like the foundation was already laid, the pillars of honesty and trust, children, grandchildren, the time, the energy that has been lost. And it's like, you look back at that, it's like you were actually in a war that you wasn't supposed to be in. I believe that the one that God has for you is going to stick with you until the very end. You can look at any biblical marriage, Isaac and Rebecca, Abraham and Sarah. It's like they stayed with each other until death. I know one thing about marriages is that it should not be a battlefield.
Now the beautiful house that you call a home is now a war zone, looking for a way to escape just to receive some peace.
Come to Dad.
for a man that has never been married, yet I see divorces as something that I get so irritated by, because so much has been built and the rest of it is just lost. One thing that I do know about God is that He always protects what He invests in.
Hope is destined for God's people to have. At the end, Samson repented of his wrongdoings and called upon God to finish his assignment right before he died. Again, hope is destined for God's people to have. Those who call upon the Lord, He will answer and save.
Many are tied in a relationship, and sadly, once it's broken, it leaves people void and bitter due to the unsuccessful of marriage or quickly breaking up for some obvious reason. Growing up, I never thought that relationships is such a dramatic thing, because the heart is involved, not just the mind. And then when kids are a part of it, maybe you have been a part of a divorce growing up, and it's just something that maybe just stays with you, that when you grow up, you don't want to have any part of that, and you always want your relationships to be successful. And as children are innocent, and sometimes, not saying all parents, but sometimes some parents take their frustration out on their kids, and it's like a hypocrisy, because when children are being whipped, you have to look at what are they being punished for, because sometimes they're really mimicking off of your own behavior. If you have a bad attitude and then your daughter or son has that, then maybe you should whip yourself first before trying to whip the child. They are a part of your product. Both parents has to play a part. And sadly, so many children are just growing up not having any fathers. Either they're three places: either they're dead, they're behind bars, or they don't want to have nothing to do with the child. And so that leaves a boy growing up not knowing about manhood, but learning it from the streets or from social media or just from movies. No, it's sad that we live in a world like that. And I just hope that if males, females, that if you're watching and you're kind of in the same boat of not having a family, or you simply want one, I do this video just to bring awareness. But just be careful, because you don't want to make the same mistake as your parents or maybe someone else in the family. Just be sure of what you're doing. Just like the $1 Million Man said, because I had an opportunity to meet him. He said one thing he should have learned in his marriage is to always put God first. And that stayed with me. I'm not discouraging anyone if they are willing to get married. God said that each man has their own gifts, one to another. But the heart is so tender, and people can die off of heartbreak, something that's called heartbreak syndrome. It's like when you look at it, I believe on a microscopic image, it was like these strings, and it's like these strings in the heart, it actually just breaks. So when something is called heartbreak, and it's a true thing, it actually breaks, and to the point that a person can die from a heartbreak. I just ask that you all just open up your heart for enlightenment, your ears, your mind to the truth. You got the Proverbs 31 women, for women to dress modest, and for men to honor, to love their wives, and to wives to respect their husbands. These are things that a single person can always just put into practice first before that time comes, if God's Lord's will it. But I just want you just to see the possibilities of all this, and I hope you guys have the best in all that you have and all that God has given to you. I'll see you guys later.